Hello, dear friends. Animals are angelic beings. If you help them, the angels will help you. Opinion piece. Days of thunder. Red alert. Crucial week. Bank failures. Shift in power. Transition point. Trigger for closure. Final phase of the storm. Let's start. The next few days could be decisive because the economy could freeze and a global alert could be triggered, according to Paul Gold Eagle. Internal sources reveal that January 31st is not just any date, but the detonator they have been planning for years. A planned collapse to control humanity under their digital prison, but the White Hats changed the script. The puppets of the dark side has been discreetly positioned for a controlled demolition of the fiduciary system. Leaked documents reveal the activation of emergency protocols, liquidity drains, and false flag cyber attacks to conceal the true maneuver. They want to unleash panic to impose their central bank digital currency. However, coalition intelligence has intercepted key nodes. The new system is already online in shadow mode, backed by gold and unbreakable. In the coming days, bank failures and withdrawal limits are expected, along with stock market fluctuations, followed by a ceasefire before the lights go out. The power and communications outages labeled as tests are a pretext for the integration of the QFS. This is not fear-mongering, but the final phase of the storm. The dark side is cornered and is lashing out with its last weapon, economic Armageddon, but they will fail because the coalition is in control. Davos. Kim Gogen announces the disappearance of the remaining leaders of the 13 bloodlines. The supposed elite who gathered in Switzerland last week, believing they still controlled the world, have been caught in a white hat trap. Their old dynastic contracts expired at midnight on January 25th, and the lower astral executors, according to JFK Jr., have turned against them. In his view, the old banking system is now a phantom network with zero movement of real money, only digital illusions. The promised Great Reset that Klaus Schwab boasted about has been reversed. Every attempt to launch his network was overwritten by the quantum system controlled by the coalition. The real storm has begun. Units loyal to the restoration are being mobilized in more than 180 countries. The Space Force has total orbital control. All satellites belonging to the dark side or under coalition command are out of service. This is the outcome they never saw coming. Those who boasted of owning nothing and being happy now own nothing themselves. The dark age is over. Light has triumphed on every level, physical, financial, and spiritual. The Great Awakening is not yet to come. It is here and now. The kingdom has been restored. What we are about to witness will be biblical. Nothing can stop what has already happened. Devaluation. On January 28th, the dollar was at its lowest level in 4 years, and although economists pretend this is just market noise, the reality is far more strategic and far more dangerous for the old system than they admit, according to Ethan White of Case Teller. The call to stabilize the dollar comes from London, Brussels, and Beijing, not Washington. That alone says it all. They need a strong dollar because their survival depends on it. That's not indecisiveness, it's tactical warfare. The strategy to force de-dollarization on their own terms, not those of the BRICS cartel or the banking circles of Davos, but a realigned system where gold, energy and industry form the core of value. This is the famous transition point. Final phase. The final phase has begun according to Mr. Poole. This was never a theory or a rumor, but a war game that is ending. When the EBS comes into operation, it will not ask for permission and will override all narratives. What follows will be a temporary curfew, not to oppress the people, but to restore fair, transparent, and verified elections. The blackouts are not failures, but controlled isolation. No internet. Only one voice will remain. The old financial system has disappeared. It simply won't exist. It has been announced. No fraud, no hidden fees, and no external plundering. The era of corporate fiction is over. A new common law is emerging, based on natural rights, not corporate control. That's why the banks are silent. The system knows it has lost. You are not witnessing the beginning of history. You are witnessing the collapse of an illusion. The next sign will not be public. Dimensional transitions are not publicly announced. They manifest systematically. Atmospheric anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, and synchronized global irregularities are symptoms, not causes. What follows is not chaos, it is adjustment. The parameters of celestial events are active. Stay alert. Transition. Ismael Perez describes a major shift as the accelerated collapse of dark side infrastructure, driven by Space Force operations alongside interdimensional allies and benevolent visitors, neutralizing negative artificial intelligence in underground bases, orbital sites, and quantum nodes. This includes the recapture of orbital stations and the domination of signals that render enemy operations unfeasible, restructuring the world toward a new galactic Earth with 6 to 12 months. Perez emphasizes that this shift is not violent, but rather a cosmic transition with multidimensional battles collapsing false timelines. The Space Force has adopted a new doctrinal structure called the Space Combat Framework, which demonstrates a conceptual change. It moves from speaking only of space surveillance and defense to accepting that space is an active domain, which implies plans for combat capability if necessary. Economy. Gold reaches an all-time high and silver joins the party. Ray Dalio just said out loud that what isn't often said, in quotes, if money depreciates, everything seems to go up. The stock market boom is a lie. We are witnessing the death of the dollar, not economic growth. 99% of people have no idea about it. Peter Schiff says a financial crisis is coming that would make 2008 seem insignificant. Why do you think gold and silver are soaring? They're not just going up. They say the collapse is imminent. Most people have no idea what's coming. The dollar fell 10% in 2025. Its worst year since 2017. The value of the dollar is excellent, said Trump. This caused the dollar to fall 1% to its lowest levels in February 2022. The president wants a weaker dollar to lower interest rates and boost exports. According to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, a record wave of tax refunds totaling up to $150 billion is coming. More than 600,000 families have already signed up for the new accounts, a program designed to provide workers with wealth-building tools to offer economic relief to the middle class. The bank was saved and the people were ruined. In the 2008 financial crisis, central banks and governments prioritized bailing out systemic financial institutions with trillions of public funds, while millions of citizens lost jobs, homes, and savings due to the housing collapse and the global recession. Breaking news. There is an 80% chance of a government shutdown before January 31st. Archbishop Vigano names the global elite involved in a totalitarian control. The White House is trying to create a $3.45 billion fiscal capital to help eliminate electricity costs for 50 to 100 million homes. Neera Tanden confessed under oath to controlling the president's autopen and signing documents as Joe Biden from October 2021 to May 23. The coup in China continues and the military is ignoring the president's orders. The full moon in Leo, in opposition to the grouping of planets in Aquarius, is the astrological recipe for revolutionary events. War rumors. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz and the dollar plummets. Gold has risen to $5,267. Silver is now at $116.58 an ounce. Oil rises more than 2% after Trump's threats to Iran. Trump hopes he will not have to resort to military force against Iran. Iran deploys submarines in the Strait of Hormuz as the US aircraft carrier approaches. Iranian drones have shot down US drones over the Strait of Hormuz. The White House is considering imposing a naval blockade on Iran, Venezuela style, which would prevent it from exporting oil. If Iran is attacked, the world economy will collapse and citizens will ask their governments, "Why did you do this to us?" says Dr. Abdullah Al-Emadi. Trump ordered the military to prepare for the possibility of imposing a naval blockade on Iran starting next Friday, or today Friday. According to experts, swarms of Iranian drones could overwhelm the air defense systems of the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. Iran has the capability to temporarily close the Strait of Hormuz, but experts agree that it cannot maintain a total blockade. Europe. The European Union debates new sanctions against Iran. Sweden wants to pay $37,000 to each refugee to return home. Keir Starmer opens the door to prosecuting British soldiers for war crimes. Spain raises the minimum wage by 3.1% to €1,221 per month. Americas. Trump reopens commercial airspace with Venezuela. Trump says Cuba will fail very soon. Blackout in Cuba. The electrical system has completely collapsed. The entire island could be without electricity for up to 2 weeks. Delcy Rodriguez reports that 626 people who were being held captive have been freed. Marco Rubio says the White House is prepared to use force, if necessary, to compel Delcy Rodriguez to cooperate with the US. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.